If you're watching this video, and you are, the likelihood is incredibly high that a Final Fantasy game has evoked emotion in you at some point. The stories and characters often stick with us long after the credits have rolled, and there's usually a moment or two that we just can't seem to shake. My name is Drew Kreisman. I am one half of the Final Fantasy Weekly podcast, and these are my picks for the top 10 most emotional moments in Final Fantasy history. Note, for the first time on this channel, I'm limiting myself to one entry per game because the sheer number of potential moments to choose from was overwhelming. That said, we may do another 10 emotional moments for anything that missed out this time. Also, be aware of spoilers ahead. Number 10. Palum and Purim's Sacrifice, Final Fantasy IV. Self-sacrifice is inherently moving, and when done well in a story, can impact an audience in a unique way. When that sacrifice comes from the innocence of childhood, embodied in this case by the characters Palum and Purim, it's hard to bear. When the adults in the room panicked, the phenoms of Mysidia quietly looked at each other and nodded. They knew what to do. The fact that the twins' physical form remains trapped in stone, holding back encroaching doom forever, gives us an unforgettable image to match our sorrow. This moment is arguably undercut by later events, but when it happened, it was one of the first times a Final Fantasy game left us shocked and saddened, though it would not be the last. Number 9. The ending of Final Fantasy XIV, Heavensward. Quick caveat needed here, as I have to remind everyone and apologize that I still have not yet played Shadowbringer or Endwalker, but still, I needed to include the epic tale of Final Fantasy XIV here. To the point I have played, the ending of the Heavensward expansion packs the heftiest emotional punch. In so many ways it feels like the end of a grand journey and yet somehow still just the beginning of a much larger story. It was a long, cold war, and times are dark. But our heroes find a sense of comfort in each other, seeking a smile that better suits a hero. Number 8. Tetra Betrayed, Final Fantasy Tactics. What does it matter? The death of one common girl. The cold-blooded murder of Tetra Hyrule in Final Fantasy Tactics, it turns out, mattered a great deal. But outside of what would become of the land of Ivalice in its aftermath, the moment itself pairs sadness and loss with anger and betrayal. The classist Argoth, a former companion, and Zalbag, our hero's brother, commit an unspeakable act, tearing apart a family, a friendship, and eventually an entire nation. In a story where thousands die, we forever carry this one with us. Number 7. The Jessie Scene, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Going into Final Fantasy VII Remake, we knew one main draw would be fleshed out backstories and arcs for characters who didn't get much the first time around, most especially the members of Avalanche. And while Biggs and Wedge are dramatically improved, arguably nobody got more extra time to shine than Jessie. And that's why it hurts so damn bad. The entire Platefall event truly goes above and beyond, but this one scene is the most pointed part of the pain. Tragic in many ways, not the least of which because she believes she deserves it, her death is presented in a beautifully awkward way as Cloud struggles to express his emotions, reaching for the fact that she owes him a pizza as his way of saying what we are all feeling, that we weren't ready to let her go. Number 6. The Campsite Scene, Final Fantasy XV. There might not be a better developed set of relationships between characters in franchise history than the ones between the 4 boys of Final Fantasy XV. It is, in my opinion, the greatest strength of the game, and just about every little interaction on the fantastical road trip feels like it leads to this one moment. Noctis, Prompto, Gladio, and Iggy reflect on their journey and sit by the fire one last time to say goodbye. Seeing someone get emotional doesn't always mean it will translate to the audience, but as the king of Lucis, struggles to find his words to tell his friends just how much they mean to him, gets me every time. Number 5, You're Not Alone, Final Fantasy IX. With apologies to the end of this remarkable game, which will also have you reaching for the tissues, I had to go with maybe the single most uplifting moment in Final Fantasy history. Emotions come in all varieties. Sometimes we cry because a beloved character dies or has to go away. But how about tears of inspiration from seeing a group of people lift up a force of joy and good that has always been there for them? Zidane, our guiding light throughout the story, finds himself in darkness for once, and this time his friends guide him out, while one of the greatest pieces of music ever written plays triumphantly straight into our hearts. Absolute perfection. Number 4, Celestes' Leap of Faith, Final Fantasy VI. One of the strongest, most powerful, and important characters in Final Fantasy history, Celeste's share of Final Fantasy VI loses heart, but not herself. In an optional scene, believing that possibly everyone in the world has died, she climbs to the top of a mountain and throws herself off in one of the most eye-popping moments of the series. Complete, of course, with music that is hammering those heartstrings, we see a warrior of light at her absolute lowest. Even after she survives the leap, her distress as she interrogates a carrier pigeon, demanding to know if perhaps her friend Locke might still be alive, is heartbreaking. But, most importantly, after everything, she chooses to get on the raft and go out and save what is left of the world. Number 3, the ending of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. If you can make it through this dry-eyed, you have a stronger constitution than I. Yes, it's super melodramatic and drawn out, where the original telling of this event was the complete opposite. But boy does it go hard and not let up. Using everything from the gameplay mechanics to a flashback montage to yet another gorgeous piece of music, it's almost too much to handle. And perhaps the most amazing thing about this is that what happens isn't shocking to anyone who played the original game. We knew it was coming, and that didn't lessen the emotions one bit. Number 2, Aerith's death, Final Fantasy VII. The flower girl was taken from us too soon. It still hurts to this day. Most of us can close our eyes and see every striking image, hear every single note of Uematsu's masterpiece, and feel it all over again, every single time. It was a moment that changed video games. Forever. The death of Aerith wasn't just a breathtaking, heart-stopping, shocking moment that dramatically impacted the plot and themes of Final Fantasy VII, though it was all of that as well. It was a seminal moment for the entire medium, leading to a new age where video games weren't seen purely as toys for kids, but as vehicles to deliver some of the most beautiful and thought-provoking stories that humans have to offer. And number 1, the ending of Final Fantasy X. The word tragic somehow seems to fall short. The end of Final Fantasy X is a full-body experience. The devastation and deep feelings of loss and sorrow are paired perfectly with a sense of hope that is almost too much to bear. One moment you feel like you're putting down a beloved pet, the next saying goodbye to a dear friend, and in the next waking from a dream that was filled with love. It is profound in its ideas. It is stunning in its art and music and writing. It is one of the most brilliant endings in any story I have witnessed, but more importantly than all of that, it is a piece of art that speaks to our humanity and inspires us to hope, even when the dream has faded. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to H-Bomb for editing, and thank you to Twinstrumental and Kane Highwind 27 for the music. As always, let me know what you think I missed down in the comments. I'm sure there'll be a long list of even more emotional moments. A huge shout out to our patron subscribers, which of course reminds me that if you're looking for more Final Fantasy content, swing by patreon.com/ffweekly. And if you're looking for all kinds of fun stuff, including Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, the MCU, DCEU, and more, swing by patreon.com/DCProductions.